Nobody expected this. Ford just had its biggest engine secret ripped wide open, and the entire truck world is paying attention. The V8 has always been the true heartbeat of American performance. Ford knows this better than anyone else. They gave us the modular era, then raised the bar with the Coyote, and then completely shocked the industry by dropping the 7.3-liter Godzilla into heavy-duty trucks when everyone expected them to go turbocharged or electric. That engine won over an entirely new generation of buyers. So when serious rumors began surfacing in late 2024 about a completely different 7-liter V8 project sitting inside Ford's development pipeline, the automotive world stopped cold. According to people connected to Ford's supplier network, this is not a revision of anything that exists today. This may be an engine that rewrites what Ford is capable of building, and 2027 appears to be the year it surfaces. Let's get into everything that has come out, why engineers are talking, and what this engine could actually mean for trucks, performance vehicles, and the future of gasoline power in America. It started with a photograph that was never meant to leave that building. The image came from inside a Ford dynamometer testing facility. Nothing about the setup was extraordinary at first glance. An engine sat beneath a dark protective cover on a test stand, surrounded by standard calibration equipment, but researchers who studied the image zoomed in on identification labels mounted to the bench itself. The markings referenced a 7-liter displacement, a naturally aspirated configuration, and a 2027 target date for horsepower calibration. That combination of details triggered immediate and intense conversation across private automotive forums and closed technician groups online. Ford's public relations team refused to address any questions about the photograph whatsoever. They issued no denial, offered no clarification, and provided no explanation of any kind. The image itself disappeared from the platform where it had briefly appeared. People inside the industry noted that content gets pulled that fast for essentially one primary reason. It contains something genuinely real, and someone with authority wanted it gone. Meanwhile, entirely separate conversations were quietly developing among engineers and independent analysts with documented ties to Ford's powertrain division. Multiple sources began describing a new program that bore no resemblance to the Godzilla's architecture. The Godzilla was a deliberate engineering throwback, a cast-iron pushrod design built above all else for brute strength and long service life in demanding commercial applications. What these sources described was something built around modern engineering priorities from the ground up. One analyst with documented supplier relationships explained it this way: Ford would not simply enlarge an existing design and call it new. A genuine next-generation program means new block geometry, new combustion chamber engineering, a revised thermal management approach, and metal specifications that exceed anything currently used in production gasoline truck engines. This is an engine platform designed and built to remain technically competitive for well beyond its initial launch date. Something else emerged from those internal conversations that carries very significant weight in terms of what this engine might eventually become. Several separate sources made reference to the bottom end of this engine being engineered well beyond what a standard naturally aspirated application would require. When engineers overbuild the rotating assembly and reinforce the block beyond atmospheric pressure specifications, it almost always points toward a forced induction variant sitting somewhere in the development roadmap. Ford Performance, which has never walked away from a horsepower opportunity, would have every compelling reason to pursue that path aggressively. A supercharged version of this displacement with that kind of structural foundation could produce power figures that nothing in the current American truck market could match. The commercial reasoning behind this entire program becomes completely clear when you take a hard look at exactly where the heavy-duty diesel market is heading over the next 3 years. Federal emissions regulations scheduled to take effect in 2027 will demand costly hardware additions from every diesel-powered vehicle in the commercial and consumer truck segments. Diesel particulate systems, urea injection, and the maintenance burdens they create have already driven a portion of buyers toward gasoline alternatives. The Godzilla demonstrated that gap in the market was real and growing. A more powerful, cleaner burning, larger displacement gasoline V8 entering the Super Duty lineup in 2027 addresses a business problem Ford can already see developing. One former member of Ford's planning team framed it plainly: the economics of diesel ownership are going to deteriorate sharply over the next several years. A high-displacement gasoline engine with serious torque gives Super Duty customers an exit ramp before that happens. Here is what the technical picture looks like, based on everything that is leaked. Displacement is expected to fall in a range centered around 7.0 liters, with some sources placing it as low as 6.9 and others as high as 7.1. Ford has a long history of finalizing exact displacement figures late in the certification process, so the precise number may not settle until well into 2026. Configuration debate has centered on two options. The majority of engineering sources expect a next-generation overhead valve pushrod layout, citing its cost advantages, packaging simplicity, and proven low-end torque characteristics. A smaller number of sources have raised the possibility of an overhead cam architecture, which would support higher engine speeds and a broader power band, but would add substantially to production cost. The pushrod configuration is considered more probable, given Ford's stated objectives around replacing diesel in commercial applications. Power output estimates from sources claiming prototype exposure land between 525 and 600 horsepower in naturally aspirated street trim. That represents a significant step beyond the current Godzilla, without reaching into forced induction territory. Torque figures are expected to range from 550 pound-feet in performance-oriented applications up to 650 pound-feet in configurations tuned for maximum towing capability. Either figure would place this engine above the current output of the GM 6.6-liter gasoline V8 and the Ram 6.4-liter platform. The supercharged projection, if that variant reaches production, carries estimates between 750 and 900 horsepower, depending on boost levels and intended application. Material specifications, rumored for this engine, reflect its intended durability targets. The block is expected to use a high nickel-iron alloy, the crankshaft forged rather than cast, the oiling circuit redesigned for continuous high-load operation, and the piston crown treated with thermal barrier coatings that extend component life under sustained stress. These are not the specifications of an engine built for light use. Vehicle applications most consistently mentioned include the Super Duty lineup as the primary launch platform, the next-generation Raptor R as a high-performance variant candidate, and the Ford Performance Crate engine catalog as a near-certain release. Mustang appears in some discussions as a long-term possibility, though it remains the least confirmed application. The broader significance of this program goes beyond specifications. Every major automaker has been steadily reducing its commitment to large displacement, naturally aspirated engines. The fact that Ford appears to be moving in the opposite direction is a deliberate signal. They have consistently chosen to preserve V8 programs when competitors walked away. Based on everything currently visible, that pattern does not appear to be changing anytime soon. The evidence points in one direction. A new large displacement Ford V8 is under development, targeting a 2027 production window, and built to anchor the brand's heavy-duty lineup through a period when diesel faces serious regulatory and economic headwinds. Whether Ford chooses to officially acknowledge any of this before the actual reveal date is an entirely separate question. But the information is already circulating. The sources are credible, and the story it tells is very difficult to dismiss.